Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Diraya Nastapraeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Hare Krishna. So it's continuing in the third canto, chapter 6, text 30. Chapter 6, creation of the universal form. This is Maitreya speaking to Vidura.
Yes.
You do the Sanskrit?
Yeah, we do.
I don't have my reading glasses, so it may take a little while.
Or we can, if you want, someone else can read. You're not, yeah. Better or worse?
Yeah, a little. Yeah. Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Purusasya Kurudvaha.
Purushasya Kurudvaha.
Yaskan Mukatpadvarnanam.
Yaskan Mukatpadvarnanam.
Mukyo Bud Brahmano Guru.
Mukyo Brahmano Guru.
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Purusasya Kurudvaha.
Purushasya Kurudvaha.
Yastan Mukatpadvarnanam.
Yaskan Mukatpadvarnanam.
Mukyo Bud Brahmano Guru.
Mukyo Brahmano Guru. Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Purushasya Kurudvaha. Yastun Mukatpadvarnanam. Mukyo Bud Brahmano Guru.
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Purusasya Karudha.
Purushasya Kurudvaha.
Yastu Mukatpadvarnanam.
Yastun Mukatpadvarnanam.
Mukyo Bud Brahmano Guru.
Mukyo Bud Brahmano Guru.
Anybody else?
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Purushasya Kurudvaha.
Purushasya Kurudvaha.
Yastun Mukatvat Varnanam.
Yastun Mukatpadvarnanam.
Mukyo Bud Brahmano Guru.
Mukyo Bud Brahmano Guru.
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Mukato Vartata Brahma.
Purushasya Kurudvaha.
Purushasya Kurudvaha.
Yastun Mukatpadvarnanam.
Yastun Mukatpadvarnanam.
Mukyo Bud Brahmano Guru.
Mukyo Bud Brahmano Guru. Would anyone online like to lead the chanting?
Tata Brahma,
Mukato Vartata Brahman,
Purusasya Kurudaha,
Purushasya Kurudvaha,
Yastu Mukha Dharmanam,
Yastun Mukadvad Varnanam,
Mukhya Bud Brahmano Guru.
Mokyo Guru Brahmano Guru.
Mukato Vartata Brahma
Mukato Vartata Brahma,
Purushasya Kurudvaha
Purushasya Kurudvaha,
Yastunmukhatvad Varnanam
Yastun Mukadvad Varnanam,
Mukyopyut Brahmano Guru.
Mokyo Guru Brahmano Guru.
Anybody else? Mukata,
Mukata,
from the mouth.
from the mouth.
Avartata,
Avartata,
generated.
generated.
Brahma,
Brahma,
the Vedic wisdom.
the Vedic wisdom.
Purusasya,
Purushasya,
of the Virat Purusha,
of the Virat Purusha,
the gigantic form.
the gigantic form.
Kurudvaha,
Kurudvaha,
O chief of the Kuru dynasty.
O chief of the Kuru dynasty.
Ya,
Ya,
who are,
who are
to,
to,
due to,
due to,
unmukatvat,
Unmukadvat,
inclined to,
inclined to,
Varnanam,
Varnanam,
of the orders of society.
of the orders of society.
Mukhya,
Mukya,
the chief.
the chief.
Abut,
Abut,
so became.
so became.
Brahmana,
Brahmana,
called the Brahmanas.
called the Brahmanas.
Guru,
Guru,
the recognized teacher or spiritual master.
the recognized teacher or spiritual master.
Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. O chief of the Kuru dynasty, the Vedic wisdom became manifested from the mouth of the Virat, the gigantic form. Those who are inclined to this Vedic knowledge are called Brahmanas, and they are the natural teachers and spiritual masters of all the orders of society. O chief of the Kuru dynasty,
O chief of the Kuru dynasty,
the Vedic wisdom
the Vedic wisdom
became manifested
became manifested
from the mouth of the Virat,
from the mouth of the Virat,
the gigantic form.
the gigantic form.
Those who are inclined
Those who are
to
inclined
this Vedic knowledge
to this Vedic knowledge
are called Brahmanas,
are called Brahmanas,
and they are the natural teachers
and they are the natural teachers
and spiritual masters
and spiritual masters
of all the orders of society.
of all the orders of society.
As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.13, the four orders of human society developed with the order of the body of the gigantic form. Let me read that again. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, the four orders of human society developed with the order of the body of the gigantic form. The bodily divisions are the mouth, arms, waist, and legs. Those are situated on the mouth. Those who are situated on the mouth are called Brahmanas. Those who are situated on the arms are called Kshatriyas. And those who are situated on the waist are called Vaishyas. And those who are situated on the legs are called Sudras. Everyone is situated in the body of the Supreme in his gigantic Vishvarupa form. In terms of the four orders, therefore, no caste is to be considered degraded because of being situated in a particular part of the body. In our own bodies, we do not show any actual difference in our treatment toward our hands or legs. Each and every part of the body is important. although the mouth is the most important of the bodily parts. If other parts are cut off from the body, a man can continue his life. But if the mouth is cut off, one cannot live. Therefore, this most important part of the body of the Lord is called the sitting place of the Brahmanas, who are inclined to the Vedic wisdom. One who is not inclined to the Vedic wisdom, but to mundane affairs, cannot be called a Brahmana, even if he is born of a Brahmana family or father. To have a Brahmana father does not qualify one as a Brahmana. The main qualification of a Brahmana is to be inclined to the Vedic wisdom. The main qualification of a Brahmana is to be inclined to the Vedic wisdom. The Vedas are situated on the mouth of the Lord, and therefore anyone who is inclined to the Vedic wisdom is certainly situated on the mouth of the Lord, and he is a Brahmana. This inclination toward Vedic wisdom is also not restricted by any particular caste or community. Anyone from any family and from any part of the world may become inclined to the Vedic wisdom, and that will qualify him as a real Brahmana. A real Brahmana is the natural teacher or spiritual master. Unless one has Vedic knowledge, one cannot become a spiritual master. The perfect knowledge of the Vedas is to know the Lord, the personality of Godhead, and that is the end of Vedic knowledge or Vedanta. One who is situated in the impersonal Brahman and has no information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead may become a Brahmana, but he cannot become a spiritual master. It is said in the Padma Purana, Sat karma nipuno vipro, mantro tantra visharada, Vaishnavo gurur na syad, Vaishnava swa tacho guru. An impersonalist can become a qualified Brahmana, but he cannot become a spiritual master unless and until he is promoted to the stage of a Vaishnava or devotee of the personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya, the great authority of Vedic wisdom in the modern age, stated, Kipa Vipra Kipa Nyasi Sudra Hena Naya Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Haya. A person may be a Brahmana or a Sudra or a sannyasi, but if he happens to be well versed in the science of Krishna, then he is fit to become a spiritual master. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 8:128. The qualification then of a spiritual master is not to be a qualified Brahmana, but to be a well versed in the science of Krishna. One who is conversant with the Vedic wisdom is a Brahmana, and only a Brahmana who is a pure Vaishnava, who knows all the intricacies of the science of Krishna, can become a spiritual master. The verse again. O chief of the Kuru dynasty, the Vedic wisdom became manifested from the mouth of the Virat, the gigantic form. Those who are inclined to this Vedic knowledge are called Brahmanas, and they are natural teachers and spiritual masters of all the orders of society. Om Ganata Miradasya Gnanajana Sivakaya Chaksuranmilitam Jena Tasmasri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So in this chapter, Maitreya is explaining the details of how different aspects of the creation come from different parts of the Virat Purusha, the universal form. So this particular verse, he's saying how the Brahmanas come from the mouth, So the Vedic wisdom came from the mouth, the gigantic form, not the Brahmanas. The Vedic wisdom came from the mouth, and those who were inclined to the Vedic wisdom, they are Brahmanas, and they are situated on the mouth of the Lord. Brahmanas are the natural teachers and spiritual masters of all orders of society. And then in the purport, Prabhupada was explaining how this body, we all have a mouth, arms, legs, a stomach, and he describes how all these parts, they're all very important. I mean, we need our legs, we need our arms, and he says, so we treat them all equally. However, the mouth, sometimes devotees say the head is the most important. We've seen people who've lost a leg, lost an arm, but if you lose your head, you're pretty much, you got to check out. That's the end. So all parts of the body are equal. So when we see people acting in different capacities, they may be laborers, sudras, vaishyas, mercantile men, or bankers, or kshatriyas that are leaders, or brahmanas. All of them are, very important in society. You can't have a society only of brahmanas or only sudras. You need everybody. The kshatriyas, they're leaders, they're in charge of everything, but they take guidance from the brahmanas. And the kshatriyas, the brahmanas can't do anything if there's no vaishyas that are milking cows and giving ghee, so the brahmanas can do jagyas. And you have to have someone that's going to do things. So we need laborers. So now this system is a little perverted in India, the caste system. And if you're from a lower caste, you're like, untouchable. But Prabhupada has kind of educated or tried to educate us on that all the parts are equally important, and the head is a little more so. And Prabhupada touched on how a Brahmana, to be a Brahmana, my father may be a Brahmana, but that doesn't automatically qualify me to be a Brahmana. Prabhupada would give the example, a high court judge, his son might think, well, my father was a judge, so I'm a judge. But no, to become the judge, he had to study, he had to become trained for a long time. So similarly, as a Brahmana, we may try to practice to live our life as a Brahmana, but that doesn't automatically mean that our son will be like that, or our daughter will have those qualities. We have to train to make our sons and daughters, we have to train them. Training is involved. And Prabhupada gave us a program for training. There was many conversations with Prabhupada regarding, we had a school where I live in Prabhupada village, and so we're always reading all these quotes from Prabhupada. There was a devotee asking Prabhupada, so what kind of special classes should we have for the kids? Yes, they should do as you are doing. Rise early, be at Mangalarti, and hear the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita daily. They said, no, Prabhupada, I mean special classes for the kids. What kind of special training? Yes, I am saying they should do as you are doing. Rise early, hear the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita every day. Of course, we have to teach our children to read and write and mathematics and how to deal with things in this world. But Prabhupada had a same program for all of us. Hearing the Bhagavatam, we chant this verse every day, Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu. Hearing the Bhagavatam and hearing it discussed this is very beneficial. It purifies the heart, removes everything that is unhealthy, that is bad for us. And it's very good to hear the Bhagavatam in an association of devotees like that. Because even sometimes, like today, you have to hear from a less qualified person, but if all of you, I can count on you to be corrected. Because if I get too far off track, I know Dear Govinda is gonna say, well, it's not exactly like that, you know.
You count on this community to give honest feedback.
Honest feedback.
Honest
yeah.
feedback.
Which we need that. We all need to hear. Um,
I mentioned Madhuha Prabhu as a graduate of the Software Advanced Seminar 2004 in North Carolina.
Wow.
Just thought to put that in there. I appreciate
I probably need a refresher course. Anyway, when this is, Prabhupada is speaking about the qualifications of a spiritual master. Like a spiritual master needs to be well versed in the Vedic knowledge, but even more than that, that's the qualification for a Brahmana, to be well versed in Vedic knowledge or Vedanta. But he says one who is not a Vaishnava or a devotee cannot be a spiritual master. So this reminds me of another verse that's coming up a little later in the Bhagavatam. I haven't memorized it, so I'll just read it. There's a spiritual master, and then there are sadhus. So later in the Bhagavatam, when Lord Kapila is instructing his mother Devahuti,
Tikshava Karunika.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Tikshava Karunika, verse 3, 25, 21. Another verse there.
Yeah.
The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities, and he has no enemies, but he is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. So the sadhu spiritual master has to be well versed in Vedic literature, but he also has to have these qualities of a sadhu. And when we think about these qualities, who's the first person that comes to mind? Is Srila Prabhupada. And I'll just read a little bit here from the purport. A sadhu is described above as a devotee of the Lord. His concern, therefore, is to enlighten people in devotional service to the Lord. That is his mercy. He knows that without devotional service to the Lord, human life is spoiled. A devotee travels all over the country from door to door preaching, be Krishna conscious, be a devotee of Lord Krishna. Don't spoil your life in simply fulfilling your animal propensities. Human life is meant for self-realization of Krishna consciousness. These are the preachings of a sadhu. He is not satisfied with his own liberation. He always thinks about others, and he is the most compassionate personality towards all the fallen souls. So a devotee is never too much concerned with his own personal well-being and comfort. Like you see in Srila Prabhupada in the early 60s, he was very peacefully situated. He lived in Radha Damodar temple. He was doing his writing like a Brahmanas, they study and write, very peaceful. But he, on the order of his spiritual master, he gave that up gave up his comfort. As a respected sannyasi, Brahmana living in Vrindavan, he crossed the ocean, suffered 2 heart attacks. Then he came to New York, first to Boston, then to New York. He tried to preach, and his typewriter was stolen. He was abused, misused, he was mistreated, and then many times they say he went back to the pier. He was looking at, should I go back? You just think what he went through, and what did he do that for? He did it for every one of us, and the whole rest of the planet. This is not an ordinary person. Most men at that age, 69 or 70, I want to, make sure I got money in the bank, comfortable house, and, I'm taken care of, good medical insurance policy, and I'll be comfortable. But Prabhupada didn't care for any of that. Didn't care for any of it. He just, of course, as grihastas, we have to provide for our family members and make sure they're taken care of. But once that's done, a man, should go on and push and Prabhupada has said that in this day and age, if one has a good wife, sannyas is not recommended. A wife is a good, what is that verse about? Having a good wife is like a good boat for crossing the ocean. Nescience? I don't remember the exact verse. But so, not that we artificially renounce, but at an older age, a man is meant, we're all meant to fully dedicate our lives to preaching. And in other words, to give what we have. You've been given a matchless gift. So now use your energy to give it to somebody else. They say the debt to the spiritual master is so great, you can't, there's no way to pay it back. It's like if one buys a $10 million house and he can't pay the debt, how are you going to pay it? But you can give it to someone else. Give the house. You take this over. And so a devotee is constantly trying to give Krishna consciousness to other people. Whoever he meets, wherever we go, the mailman walking down the street, or we're in the store, buying some boga. Oh, Hare Krishna. What did you say? Hare Krishna. Praise the Lord. Or something to just encourage whoever we meet, because we've been given a gift. So just like if someone gives you a big bucket of gulab-jamuns, you can only eat so many, one or two, maybe you can try, but it's difficult. Oh, it reminds me of a story of gulab-jamuns. I travel with a lot of young men every year on this festival program. So this one devotee in LA years ago, his son was like 15 or 16, and his son was a little big, a little on the heavy side. So I said, look, take my son and just make sure he works hard. I want him to work hard. And he said, at the end of the summer, I'm going to pay you $10 for every pound he loses, because he thought that would really motivate him. I'm going to, really push this boy, So we're working, and every temple you go to, you sit around, they come around with Mahaprasad. So I sit next to him. No, he doesn't need some. Oh, don't be so mean to the boy. And then at one temple we were at, in Vancouver temple. At the Vancouver temple, the end of the Rath Yatra every year, they have a gulab-jamun eating contest. You may have heard of these kind of contests. There's two types. There's one called a speed, when they give everyone like 10 gulab-jamuns, and then you see who can swallow all 10 first. And then there's the duration contest, where you see how many you can eat. Some people after 10, and then other people just keep going. So it was the end of the festival, and we're packing up, and I couldn't find this boy. I couldn't find him anywhere. I see a circle of devotees, and they're doing the speed contest for gulab-jamun. So I say, oh no. So and then they're all sitting in a circle, and everyone's around them watching, and so they say, okay, go, and everyone starts eating like this. So finally I make my way in, and I see Krishna Upadesh was his name. He's like this. Just very slowly, he didn't care about winning the contest. He was just savoring every gulab-jamun. So, and he's a very nice young man. And then I didn't see this boy for like 6 or 7 years later at the LA Rath Yatra one day. Someone came up behind me, oh, Haribo, Madhuha. And I recognized the voice, but I couldn't see him. He got into riding a mountain bike, and he lost like 50 pounds. He was tall and slender and very good shape. So those gulab-jamuns were good for him. They built his spiritual body. Anyway, sorry for the sweet distraction.
I have heard that on some occasions, the results of such contests is devotees have ended up in the hospital. I have heard.
If you win the gulab-jamun eating contest, usually there's a reward. like you get to drink all the juice. But we're advised in Bhagavad Gita, we're advised in Bhagavad Gita to control our eating and sleeping and these things, so.
That doesn't apply to prashad.
Yeah, well, controlling eating means accepting only Krishna Prasad.
I appreciate that qualification.
Only, yeah. So anyone have any questions, corrections, or comments up to this point? And then the Brahmanas are situated on the mouth of the Supreme Lord. Brahmanas are naturally inclined to Vedic knowledge, Vedic wisdom. Like, just like when you go to a devotee supposed to wear this tila, which is kind of marking the body as a temple of the Lord. So when you see a devotee, someone with tilak or a Vaishnava, you don't generally hear them speaking prajalpa or nonsense. It's just like you see the police car. On the police car, it says for official use only. So you don't see that kind of car at the drive-in movie, with his feet out the window, drinking some intoxication, because he's for official use. So with a devotee, when we mark our body, it says, that's like saying for Krishna's use only. So if we really want to act as a Vaishnava, we won't be spending our time on prajalpa, and because we all have free choice. We get in our car to go somewhere, we can put in a CD or whatever we have, and we could be listening to some kirtan, or we can put on the FM radio and hear the latest bad news. I mean, all the news in this world. I mean, we need to be aware of what's going on. But if we spend our time just listening to all the political debates or all the different maya that's going on, this probably means that I don't really have some Brahminical tendencies. But whenever I get some free time, if I want to pick up one of these books and hear something from Srila Prabhupada, I want to hear a kirtan, then these are tendencies, natural inclinations of a Brahmana. So sometimes as devotees, we're advised to take inventory, take a good look in the mirror and see what is my inclination. Am I still thinking about sense gratification all the time, or am I attracted to hearing Vedic literature? Do I want to hear kirtan, or do I want to hear some new, music presentation? So
I would like to just kind of, I don't know if it's a share, but I'm appreciating this, looking at, the arms and the legs and the torso and, the mouth. And in this, I guess, metaphorical way where, looking at like the body can't survive without, the mouth and the function of the mouth. And then looking at, like, as you expressed, personally, taking inventory on the different parts of myself and looking at, like, when I'm functioning at a high, what I believe is like a higher self or a higher level or in Krishna consciousness, I would say that, I'm that Brahmana, is that situation is there, or that like position is there. And then I was also kind of looking at like the world and societies, and like the ones that are really thriving and functioning have that same structure, and the ones, we can look at, like, the dysfunctioning cultures or societies are the ones that don't have that. And so I don't know, I'm just really appreciating just kind of bringing that to the forefront of my consciousness for my own self, and then also looking at like, you know, how we're, you know, choosing to live as a culture and societies and, so anyway, that's what's kind of coming up for me in the sharing. So I'm appreciating it so far, and just kind of bringing that to the forefront of, you know, what is like a thriving whole body? What does that really look like? Because if we don't have that knowledge, this, you know, I'm being presented with this knowledge today. If we don't have that knowledge, then, you know, how can we like, you know, well, I guess we could continue to live, but, you know, we could live in a dysfunctioning way and not really know why. So, yeah, I'm just kind of appreciating that this morning.
Srila Prabhupada, when he came, he wanted to create Brahmanas. Brahmanas give guidance. They help the rest of us understand how to live, how to act, how to work, how to cooperate together. But everything is required, but the Brahmanas are, he says, natural teachers and spiritual masters. So when someone the Brahmanas understand the Vedic literatures, they understand these things, so we should take guidance from them. But it's not that we have to all cooperate. Like the Brahmanas need sudras, they need Vaishyas, and we all need each other. And if there's no Kshatriyas to kind of keep everybody in line, Kshatriyas, administrative ruling class, then people can get out of hand. So they're all very important. And by taking a personal inventory, we could see where we are, like where do I fit? How does this apply to me? Where do I fit into society? What is my role? And, you know, if, you know, some of us, you know, I would probably be more like a Vaishya, a worker, and generating support. Then there's this is the four varnas. Then there's the ashram, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. Generally, grihasthas, they're meant to support the other. I mean, support, can produce the resources. Brahmacharis, when they're before marriage, they can give 100% of their energy into preaching. Vanaprasthas, as grihasthas get older, they gradually, when their children are old enough to take care of the mother, then someone can retire and then start to dedicate more of his life for preaching. But so we have to see, where do I fit into this? Where do I fit in? Where would Prabhupada want me to be? What is my natural inclination?
See, we have Bhakti Oasis has their hand up.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhus, thank you so much for your class today. I really was enlivened by the levity. I appreciate the humor, and it's so relatable to my human experience. We were reading just last night somewhere, I think it was Canto 1, Chapter 12, 13, Dhritarashtra quits home, somewhere around text 30, in which Srila Prabhupada was talking about transcendental fraud and how it's so beneficial to everyone involved, the idea of cheating for, you know, for Krishna's service and benefit. So I was thinking about how everyone involved in the Glubshivan incident received spiritual benefit from that pastime, that exchange. And that was really supportive for me. One of the questions also from that same purport, Srila Prabhupada is defining a sadhu, like what a sadhu is. And from my understanding of the reading, I was taking it to mean a pure devotee, someone who is pure and devoted pure-heartedly. And I'm unsure if that's true or not. And so I'm just wondering if someone was able to make a distinction about what it means to be a sadhu. Do you need to be a pure devotee? Can you be in some mixture of lower modes, or do you really need to be on the Shuddha platform? Hare Krishna.
You have an answer?
No, I want to know the answer, I'm curious.
I mean, do you need to be a pure devotee to be a sadhu? Is that
Yes.
the question?
Yes.
I was thinking you need to be a sadhu in order to be a pure devotee, but maybe Dear Govinda Prabhu could explain this one.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Nice to see everyone online. Hari Bol. Hey, hi there, Pensacola, Rachel, and Gajendra. We got about a dozen participants online. Well, sadhu is like we have our sattva tov. So like that sattva, sadhu is one of those words that comes from sattva, like the English word saint. Saint or satisfied comes from sattva. And the essence of sattva, the essence of the sattva gun, is to bring to conscious perception that which till now we've not been aware of. And the other modes, the diamond gets covered more and more. So sadhu, Prabhupada sometimes describe, sadhu means to cut. Sadhu, like it means knife, means to cut. And so means in a good way, it means like a sadhu is cutting through our illusion with their words and their very way of being. And to the extent that we're attached to false ego and illusion, a sadhu is very threatening, even all the titik shafa kuunaka, they're gentle and they're tolerant like that. At the same time, the sadhu is to cut through our illusion with love and compassion. I loved how much you emphasize Prabhupada's compassion. And as you were sharing, there's about, in Prabhupada at the age of 70, and what most are doing at the age of 70, there's some morning walks where, like in Los Angeles or wherever, and they're passing by like a golf course, and Prabhupada's asking, what's that? And there's some men about Prabhupada's age in their 70s, and they're hitting a ball into a hole. And Prabhupada was actually he actually wasn't amused. He's like with pain. He was feeling like pain that they're at this time of life that's especially meant to focus. I mean, Prahlad Maharaj emphasizes Komara Charet Pragyo Dharma Bhagavatamya Dulabam Manusham Janma Tarap Yatru Martadam, starting from the earliest stage, focus on Krishna consciousness, and then especially as you in your description of the Varnas, like as the body gets older, to focus on the eternal life, and they're hitting a ball in the hole. Prabhupada was actually in pain from his compassion. So sadhu means sattva, means to cut. My understanding, we could do a search for this, like on the Prabhupada database, but my understanding, it's kind of like the term Brahmin, that for sure, as Madhuha Prabhu said, a genuine devotee of Krishna is definitely a sadhu. At the same time, if I'm remembering the way Prabhupada uses the word sadhu, sometimes he uses it in a way where it doesn't automatically mean a devotee. It could mean someone who's like Manushinam Sasreshu Kashtit Yatati Sidaye Yatatamapi Siddhanam Kashtimam Beti Tatvata. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, out of like thousands and thousands of humans, maybe one endeavors for self-realization. And of those who truly endeavor for self-realization, one really comes to know Krishna. So just like a Vaishnava is automatically a Brahmin, a true Vaishnava is automatically a sadhu. At the same time, a Brahmin, that's a theme of this, a Brahmin isn't necessarily a Vaishnava. So there could be a sadhu who has some understanding about or even a lot of understanding about the difference between the body and the soul and spirit and matter, and they understand that material enjoyment is futile. And so sometimes, from what I remember, Prabhupada will use the word sadhu, meaning like someone who's Brahminical, and they have realization, but they're not necessarily at the stage of a pure devotee. Maybe they're at the impersonal realization. And so that's my general understanding. I'm remembering this was like a lecture in 1966, and Prabhupada's like one of those first lectures, and Srila Prabhupada is and he's talking about because at that time he was talking about like places in India. He talked about the Kumbh Mela, because Prabhupada was talking about different approaches to spiritual life, and then he describes that millions of people come, and he was describing to those kind of like the hippies and those going crashing from their LSD trip there in New York in 1966. And he was saying, and again, he mentioned the sannyasis, and some sannyasis are from the impersonal group, and some are from the Vaishnav group. And Prabhupada said, and it doesn't matter because they all realize the goal of life. Now, of course, their goal of life is spiritual attainment, realization of the absolute. Of course, there's thousands of places where Prabhupada makes a distinction. It does matter. But in this cases, like they're all Brahminical, they're all sadhus, they're all giving up material enjoyment for spiritual life. And I see that Gajendra Prabhu, yes.
Hare Krishna, good morning. I just wanted to give my impressions about this sadhu and whether pure devotee or not pure devotee. I don't get the sense that there's any direct relationship or equivalency where one necessarily indicates the other as far as a sadhu and a pure devotee. Much more like what you're saying. I do definitely get two things though. One is a sadhu does have that broadness, and it's a sense of it. You're talking about an individual when you say sadhu, but it's a kind of general population of people that have some level of spiritual advancement. It's not necessarily indicating something extraordinary though, like a pure devotee or a Vaishnava acharya. But it is a category that's populated by people that are very respectable, have some advancement on the spiritual path. It also, for me, indicates someone is living somewhat simple and renounced and focused on things. So like a Brahmin, but someone could be a Brahmin, but they still have certain wealth or trappings and family life. So someone could even be a pure devotee and have maybe material opulence and be doing great services. But somehow I don't get the impression that I call them a sadhu. They may be a pure devotee, they may be a venerated Vaishnava. But sadhu somehow strikes me as somebody who is a little more simple and focused and minimizing external material. Like someone, not an Avadhuta, but somewhere's a little more in that direction than a wealthy pure devotee. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Gajendra. Like a simple living, high thinking sadhu represents that lifestyle, that principle. Thanks for that.
Also, I will remember one thing like sadhu in Sanskrit, it also means goodness.
Goodness, yeah.
So one can be in goodness, but pure devotee is beyond pure goodness. He's pure devotee, so he's beyond that.
Yeah, that's Danielle said it, Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva. Thanks for that. Hari Gopal Prabhu is visiting from Central Florida. Thank you, Hari Gopal Prabhu. Yeah, and I saw that as like a theme of Madhuha Prabhu's class and Prabhupada's purport. That because there's the different varnas and places in society and like that, and that really all relates. That really all relates to the machine of the body, like what we call the psychophysical nature. And so bhakti really is about directly cultivating realization that I'm not that machine. I'm not the hardware and I'm not the software. I'm not the material mind, intellect, and false ego. I'm the operator of the computer. And that's where like Prabhupada quotes Lord Chaitanya at the end of the purport, Kiva Bripa Kiva Nyasi, Sudra Kenaya, Ye Krishna Tapavena Se Guru Haya, that whatever our place in our contribution to society, like let's cultivate the science of Krishna and share it. And that's the Shuddha Sattva platform. And so it's sort of like that dynamic interplay Like, we don't want to get bogged down, am I in this, am I in that, because then it becomes that degraded caste system, which is completely material. At the same time, because the actual Varna system, as we can hear from this verse, it's all based on, it's Krishna's compassion that we get to live in this world and be happy, as Garuda shared, like, we don't need to live an accidental life. We can live a conscious, deliberate, intentional life. We get to be happy because we're living and contributing according to our psychophysical nature. Some might naturally work with material, some might naturally take care of animals, some might naturally deal with philosophical concept. We all have our different natures. So we live our nature, so we're happy while simultaneously progressing towards cultivating realization that we're not the psychophysical nature. And just like, okay, like they say, the example of the automobile. So we're not the car, we're the driver of the car. And if we're thinking we are the car, then that's like insanity. We're thinking I've cleaned the car, I filled it with gas, and now my thirst is like, no, you haven't drank any water for 2 days, you haven't taken a shower in a month. Oh no, but I just took it through the car wash. No, that's the car, that's not you. So we want to realize we're not the car. So the car is not important. No, that's not true either. It's important to know our car. Am I driving a mini compact that gets good gas mileage and can fit into tight city parking spaces? Am I driving an 18-wheeler? It's important to know our car so that we function well, so that we can use our car to take us to our destination. It's important to know the psychophysical nature while cultivating realization that I'm that eternal spirit soul. Hare Krishna. Damayanti.
I liked how, at the end you shared something, and I don't even know if it was, it just came to you, that we should take inventory. What is my inclination? I use that word inclination, I know that was in, verse. Those who are inclined to this Vedic knowledge are called Brahmanas, and then Prabhupada really focused on inclination, especially this whole, like a whole paragraph where he used the word inclined and inclination a lot, a couple paragraphs. And it just seems like I liked your phrasing, and it just seemed like compassionate, like, okay, take inventory, what's my inclination? It's not like what's wrong with you, and or like, there's not pressure, but it's just like, let's take inventory of your inclination. And something's happening for me. So I had a dream last night. This isn't exactly related to inclination, but something here made me think of it. I had a realization yesterday on a walk, chanting, and it was a simple realization, but just like, okay, and this is like a lifelong way my mind thinks, is I'm looking at something, I'm like, that's not right, like it could be better, or like in general, like it doesn't matter what the situation is, or just in general, like I'm seeing what's out of alignment, that can be useful to be perceptive, but I feel like I've been stuck in like emotional reaction, trauma, just like something's not right, or like I'm feeling that the out of alignment, or we could be there, it could be like this is like so far from like what it could be, and I'm just like been stuck most of my life in many situations, sort of feeling ineffective. And so we're reactive, it could be like this, or like, that's, just like this contrast of like reality, where reality is, and like same with Krishna consciousness, like, oh my gosh, like, what are we, disturbed by reality, and knowing that so much of what we're doing is, whether it's my conditioning, other people's, I'm disturbed, okay? But like, I just prayed yesterday on my walk, thinking specifically about my family, like whatever situation our family's in right now, not like some crisis or anything, it's not like some problem to be concerned about, but but I have that tendency of like, things should be, it could be better, like, I have that, like, very strong, of course, everybody knows, very strong tendency to just be like, feeling tension. And when I'm on the walk, I was like, please, like, I wanna go back to the house and respond with compassion, and I was like, Krishna, please, like, how can I respond, to whatever frustration I was feeling or concern I had, or where I want to bring the family. I was just like stuck. And anyway, it's a simple thing that came to me, but it was basically like, just do it gradually instead of ignoring or overreacting. And I was like, yes, that will be appealing to every family member and anyone I interact with if I have a vision and even with myself, it's to just do it gradually. And I just feel like I haven't like grasped that. Of course, logically, I've heard the idea of gradual progression. And I have one more thing to share is I had a dream last night on the topic, actually, it turned out, but it was much more intense than the family situation. Like whoever we were set on a mission underwater, and it was far enough from the boat. We did land and we released something, and it was the mission accomplished situation. And we were in like a vehicle underwater, and we released the thing, and it was very like positive for the people up there. But our vehicle got stuck under the water, deep under the water, too far away to swim and make it in the dream. And we were stuck, but they didn't know, and they forgot about us because it was such a positive thing that whatever, I don't even know what it was, something got liberated or like released and fixed, and they're like, oh my God, they did it. They forgot about us and we were stuck. And we were waiting, we couldn't, I don't know, whatever, the dream, it's a dream, but for a while, relates to the human situation actually. I was like, it woke me up an hour and a half early. I didn't go back to sleep, and it was like it was an intense situation. Anyway, everyone in the vehicle, I guess there are other people with me, they forgot about going back up, or that what we were in this situation we were in. And I was like, we're gonna run, but we were somehow breathing in the water and moving things around as if we were in a regular. I was like, we're gonna run out of air. We need to, like, there's a problem. And they didn't realize that. And then eventually we started running out of air, but we found a tank of oxygen, and we figured out, and I said, let's pray. And then, I mean, that meant chanting Hare Krishna. But we were underwater, so we couldn't hear. We had this one little tank, and so we were taking, it ended up being in the end, Garuda and I, because dreams just change, but we were just taking turns breathing, like getting just enough oxygen to survive in order to say Krishna's name in between. So it's basically take a breath and say Krishna. And we were even trying to say into each other's ears on the water that we would be able to hear. And I felt like this is such a metaphor for life that it woke me up at that point. And it's when I meditated on it all morning, it's like, we're in a difficult situation. We don't realize it. Anyway, I don't know. It just, and we really need to lean on each other and help each other. And we need to survive, like take the oxygen, and the survival is, physical material maintenance, but then in between surviving activities, we need to be like, we really need to focus on Krishna, not even in between, can be the whole time. But anyway, just the dream was like, it hit me even harder that we need to help each other and be gradual and and by the time I woke up, I was like, we could start swimming. But it kept going, like, we could, now that we have this oxygen, we could actually start swimming and carry the oxygen tank and take a breath, like share it. I was like, we could have gone, but in the dream I had already woken up and it wasn't real. But I was just thinking, like, we could go. We have what we need. We have, sustenance, and we can chant in case we die, and try to reach the destination. Anyway, I don't know if that's helpful, but thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, hearing that, I'm reminded there's a model of family life, and four stages. Okay, that's what comes to me. We use this in coach training and things. So like there's survival, then there's stability, and then there's success. The more than success, say the highest stage in the mile is significance. So I appreciate what you shared. And it was a dream, but something got super soul revealed. Like because most dreams are complete nonsense. Speaking for myself here, yeah, I wouldn't want to share what happens in the vast majority of dreams. But Hare Krishna Maha Mantra appeared in your dream, so it's not a nonsense dream. And so, yeah, so like survive, in just in normal counseling, coaching, therapy, a family gig is survived, they can pay their bills. And now they're kind of stable there. Now they're actually achieving success. Look, the child got their degree and look what kind of house they have and okay, success. But then more than that, and it's very human, it's like everyone wants to be significant, meaning like I'm contributing to community, I'm contributing to the world. So I'm very moved. I imagine I'll remember that dream for a while. That like, yeah, okay, well, we're surviving. We got the oxygen, we're surviving. Now, yeah, let's share. We need it. Let's share this. Let's not be satisfied that we're okay with the oxygen level now. We're not drowning anymore. Let's share this. And that was like, I think a theme or a theme of Madhuha Prabhu's class. Yeah, to Srila Prabhupada came to the West because, again, of course, Prabhupada's always thriving at the highest transcendental level. But Prabhupada was doing just fine there at Radha Damodar in the early 60s. But he wanted to make a significant impact, not for him to be seen as the most compassionate Gaudiya Vaishnav, just to make a difference for people. And so that's what came to me. Like, yeah, now that we were stable, we got survival, we got success. Now let's share it. Let's really make a helping difference for people. Thanks for sharing. I see that Nityagopal Prabhu has his hand up. Nityagopal from, I imagine, New Jersey. Hare Krishna, Nityagopal.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandas Prabhu. So really appreciate Madhuha Prabhu's class in revealing a lot of beautiful points, and I was touched by how he was mentioning that Srila Prabhupada says in a purport that mouth is like Virat Rupa's mouth is a sitting place for Brahmanas. I was just reflecting one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita wherein it was said that the sound which is coming in this world, and the first sound what Brahma hears was a sound coming from flute of Krishna. So I was just, and Prabhupada says in the purport how the gopis were drawn towards Krishna by the sound of flute. There was some sort of irresistible attraction in that sound, which attract gopis' heart, and they just can't resist themselves not to be with Krishna. Similarly, the sound which Brahmaji is hearing from the flute of Krishna, so it has that irresistible potency that we can also get drawn towards Krishna. So if you just inclined towards, and that also is sitting in the mouth of Krishna, and flute also sitting in the mouth of Krishna. So in that way, that knowledge what Srila Prabhupada is giving, it has that potency which can draw us towards Krishna more and more. Just wanted to share this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nityagopal Prabhu.
Just to reflect a little bit on what Mother Damayanti said first about saying things and not being so satisfied, like, oh, this should be like that, or that should be like that, as sometimes as devotees, we're encouraged to be Atmaram or satisfied, everything's okay, this is what Krishna provided. And with our own personal life, yeah, whatever Krishna gave me 2 chapatis today, or tomorrow he gave me a big feast, or I have this kind of job or that. But internally, a devotee is always thinking, what more can I do for Krishna? How can I do this service better? And it reminds me of shortly before Srila Prabhupada's departure, the devotees were, he's in Vrindavan, he was very ill, And the devotees are praising him, oh, you've done this, you've done that, and Prabhupada, I've only accomplished 50%. And the devotees say, 50%, look what you've done already. And some of you may have seen, there was a list a devotee named Paratrikananda compiled. It was like 3 or 4 pages long, Srila Prabhupada's glorious achievements. There was, I don't know, at least 100 different things. And he wrote at the end, for most men, if you did one of those things in your life, it'd be like, you know, you'd be famous. And Prabhupada had hundreds of things like that. But yet, just before his departure, he says, I've only done 50%. Because he established deity worship, he opened temples, printed millions of books that were distributed, but he wanted to establish this Daivi Vanashram and, you know, cow protection, simple living, high thinking. So this is how a real devotee thinks. He's never satisfied with I can always, he wants to always do more for Krishna, more to help more people, to serve more devotees. Even though he may have done so much already, he's thinking that, oh, this is, whatever he's done, he doesn't feel like he did. I was just simply, I was the tool. Krishna was providing the energy. So this is the part of the compassionate nature of a Vaishnava sadhu, spiritual master, whatever you want to call him. But any other questions or?
Thanks a lot. Thank you for your class. And you mentioned just briefly, you mentioned a story from your Festival of India. I'm very inspired by your service. I wondered if you would just share with us briefly about that service, what that is, and how fun it is, and what age boys you take, and if you share with us like a little bit about what you do.
Don't be overly humble here.
Yes, please tell.
Well, I'm not the doer, but somehow Krishna lets me go along. We travel usually from middle of May or early May. This year, the first program is in Jacksonville Beach, May 18th. And we travel temples throughout US and Canada over the summer, at least one festival per week. Some weeks have 2 festivals. And we set up kind of the infrastructure for a festival. There's some bright colored tents. Some of you have probably been to some of the festivals.
Yeah, most like Rath Yatras.
Yeah, mostly we do Rath Yatra and Janmashtami in Vancouver. And we do several university programs. And when people get us into a college campus, we did State College many years ago.
State College, yeah. They've done University of Florida, I know.
Yeah, in Gainesville. Yeah. We set up tents and exhibits. And the program is really like a traveling bhakta program also, because I travel with a lot of young men, some second generation devotees. And after they set up, you know, young men, boys, they need activity, they need physical activity. You know, that's just what they need. I guess ladies, girls also need that, but especially boys, they have these bodies and they need to do something with them. So we work, it's a lot of work setting things up. And then after that, you know, what are we gonna do now? We'll go up on the stage, there's a kirtan. And I've had some mothers come up to me that, Madhuha, you see the boy in the back there? That's my son. How did you get him to go and chant? They're mostly second generation devotees we have. They're children of devotees. So they have a good time, they travel, they get to meet other devotees. And we travel and live in close quarters. We have an ashram. As far as
You have like, you have like in vehicles.
yeah, we travel with a 18-wheeler tractor trailer that has an ashram in the front of it. And we also have a 15-passenger van, so travel is comfortable, convenient. We sleep at a festival. Sometimes we sleep outside on the stage in the tents or in the vehicles, there's space. As far as what age, we used to take boys like when this Krishna Upadesh came, the Gulabjaman connoisseur.
Yeah.
He was like just 13 or 14, but the last 10 years or so, because I started taking men just 18 years and up. However, if the father wants to come along, we can take it. We also have like a Big Brother program. If someone is 16 or 17 and if they're friends with one of the older boys, they can come along and they just know that, you're with him all the time. You never go anywhere alone. Because we go to, a lot of big cities and we got to keep track of these, kids.
Just give some history. So Madhuha Prabhu has been leading this program since the late 1970s, so like 45 years. So this is steady, monumental service for Srila Prabhupada, and just such a service to North America there. So thank you, Madhuha.
All glories to your service, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. But how old is your son?
He's 10.
Oh.
Something to look forward to, maybe. Lots of kirtan, lots of mridanga playing, lots of Krishnanam.
Gulabjaman contest.
Gulabjaman
contest.
Building muscle.
Yes.
Yeah, several of the young men that travel with me, some of them spend their winters in Vrindavan. Some of the older boys, and so they amazing mridanga players, kirtan devotees. This is what we do. Hare Krishna is where we chant. And how old are your sons?
11 and 13, is that what they are?
Oh,
You got it right. It keeps track of the ages, everything.
yeah. So we welcome. I encourage, if you go to festivalindia.org, we have some videos there, and the videos were made by the young men who travel with us. Some of them are almost advertising videos, like, hey, show this to your son, and then he.
Oh, fun. Yes.
But if you wanted to come along, I mean, seriously, even just for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, there's some festivals reasonably close, like Atlanta, of course, Jacksonville Beach, and Baltimore.
Nice, yeah, thanks for the invite, yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, come along and bring your sons. One of your old friends, Jagannath Puri Dham, and his son.
Yeah, dear.
Yeah, Jagannath traveled with me for many years before he got married, and after then he's traveled a little bit, but.
You're saying he still joins sometimes? Is that?
Yes, sometimes he'll come out for a few weeks, but he's maintaining a family and he's struggling through life as most of us are. So, but he's still a friend. I know him, and I just visited him last time I was in Florida, in Gainesville. So that's just traveling, preaching, and you have a lot of. If you like to preach, some devotees, they can go out to the airport and meet people in the cold, but when you're at a festival, you could just sit in front of the Changing Bodies diorama or in front of the Bhagavad Gita exhibit, just sit at a table, and even if you're quiet and kind of shy, people read the exhibit and like, oh, do you have any questions about the exhibit? Yeah, I was wondering that picture there. Is that all like one person? The Changing Bodies diorama. The exhibits we have, they're actually marketing tools for Srila Prabhupada's books. They break the ice with people. The pictures, the exhibits, very few words, lots of pictures. Because people these days, they're used to like Twitter and all this stuff. They don't even speak in full sentences. They speak a few words. So you show them a nice picture, and wow, that's really deep. What's that about? And then, oh, that exhibit is based on, yeah, this 13th verse in the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. You know, that as the embodied soul continually passes from boyhood to youth, so it just, the exhibits make it so easy. Like, I'm not like a good speaker or preacher like this, Brew. But when people come and ask you questions, it makes it easy, even for someone that's not ordinarily good at that service. That's for the adults would like that part of the festival. I'm sure you'd have a good time, very enlivened preaching. And for young men that travel with us, it's very inspiring for them to see other to see so many youth, Krishna conscious youth. And some of you might know Manu. He does the bus tour. When Festival of India, we helped them purchase a bus for the youth. And my own sons were like, I think maybe 12 and 16 years old. And so that year they used to travel with me when they were that age, younger. So we were traveling, we had just got to Montreal, and my sons were with me, with the rest of our crew, and Manu arrived with the bus. It was the first year they had the bus. So I asked him, Manu, can you take my boys on the bus just for a week or so? Well, it's kids that are 18 and up, you know. I said, look, my son's like 6 feet tall. My sons are real tall. So I said, you just take him for a week, you know. So he took him for a week. And then in Toronto, my son comes to me, and my son hadn't picked up a bead bag in 5 years. He comes, but where's my bead bag? Oh yeah, here's your bead bag. Yeah, well, we're all going on a japa walk. I got to bring a bead bag with me. And then a little later, but where's my dhoti? Oh yeah, your dhoti. Yeah, sure. And positive peer pressure, is it called?
Association.
Positive association. On Manu's group, it's really a clean, devotional recreation. And, you know, he takes kids whitewater rafting and hiking, but then every week they do a drama. They do kirtan on the stage. And it's very beneficial. Like at some festivals we go to, devotees get these professional, you know, dance troupes come in and professional, you know, sitar recital. But when you put, these are the children of the Hare Krishnas. And now like here in Alachua, you have a Mother Anapayani, you have devotees, you know, she has a dance troupe, all devotees. And their dance, cultural Bharatanatyam dance, 100 times better than the professionals.
Yeah.
Because when we've seen professional dance troupes, yes, these are the dances representing the mythological stories of the gods. And, you know, they're, you know, technically they might be good at what they do, but the devotees come on, since they understand these pastimes, they grew up hearing Krishna book and stories from the Ramayana and Krishna's pastime, that they feel these things. And when they're dancing, after a dance, they explain what the dance was. And
It's devotion. Both of my children, Sita and Abhi, they're in their 30s now, as you know, but they both been many years on the youth bus tour led by Manu and Jai Radhe, and both the winter and summer tours, and it was just great time of their teenage, adolescent years, and even into the late teens. We were saying, remember once we all went to the New York Rath Yatra down Fifth Avenue, at the end of Fifth Avenue, this was 2004. And Sita, she was part of Anayan. Sita was Bharatanatyam trained, and they did a dance thing on the main stage of that Madhuha sets up at festival. So many booths at the end of the Fifth Avenue, and I was just kind of there, and I'd seen the devotee Bharatanatyams many times because my daughter was in it since she's like 6 years old. But it was like right there in the middle of New York, and there was just like hundreds of people.
thousands.
There were thousands of people around the stage, and they were just captivated. Prabhupada said, we're we're gonna spread Krishna consciousness through cultural conquest. And I saw that in action, and there were some ladies talking to me like, well, what is this? And I said, wait, that's my daughter, that one there. I've never seen a dancer like that. And it was like, and these are like people who go to Broadway plays. And they were like, this is of a different quality. And there was, I was here, this is of a different quality. And they were saying that. Yeah, because of the devotion. And also they're trained technically at the highest level. And then it's not just, based on the mythology, got like this from that deep devotion, and people's hearts are transformed. I've seen that.
Yeah, New York, there's 25,000 people that go to that festival. Srila Prabhupada mentioned long ago that he was in London and he had just come from Rath Yatra in New York. He was so happy. He said, yes, we just had Rath Yatra on Fifth Avenue, the most important street in the most important city of the world. He was so happy in the Rath Yatra. In New York, the festival is in Washington Square Park. Very prestigious park, right at the bottom of Fifth Avenue. And there's only 2 festivals that happen in there all year. It's the Rath Yatra and the NYU graduation. Nothing else is allowed in.
Wow.
But since Rath Yatra has been there since 1976, we're kind of grandfathered in.
Wow.
So, but then others, Toronto Festival, there's like 40,000 people there. When you see Krishna consciousness there, you see Krishna consciousness is really, it's alive and well. Prabhupada's mission is spreading, even though there's so many obstacles all over. Maya is always trying to stop it, but it's alive and well.
Hare Krishna.
All right.
Thank you, Madhuha Prabhu. Sadhu. You want to read the verse and then we'll bring it to a close.
O chief of the Kuru dynasty, the Vedic wisdom became manifested from the mouth of the Virat, the gigantic form. Those who are inclined to this Vedic knowledge are called Brahmanas, and they are the natural teachers and spiritual masters of the orders of society.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Thanks for joining and participating. Hare Krishna. Haribo. Sadhu.